Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Forex Brizio. It's 1:45 p.m. on Thursday, August 17, 2023. Again, 1:45 p.m. Heading into the mid-afternoon New York session here. Just want to make a follow-up video to the one I made yesterday. I'm not going to go back and rehash the whole thing, but this is in regards to the putting the midnight New York time price on your chart as an area to potentially trade off of or trade from or trade through. So go back and watch that video if you want to get up to speed on that. But basically this is a simplified twist on one of the ICT smart money concept programs ideas about the fact that midnight New York time is kind of like a bank reset time, and that price that happens around that time, which again midnight New York City time, is an important level on the chart for the next trading day. So that's the basis of this, and that's all I'll say about it. You can, like I said, go back and watch the video yesterday for more detail. So as you saw yesterday, I had this box on the chart. This is the New York session indicator. This orange line also delineates the start of the New York session. I added this. I don't really need it because I've got the left-hand vertical of this box, but either way, that's what this is. And then I also put this indicator. This is the same indicator. It's a vertical line indicator, really complicated. But this area, this indicator marks 7, as you can see, 7 o'clock on my trading platform, which is midnight New York City time. So right here, this little teeny tiny doji candle is midnight New York time. So I have this thing paint every day, and it just helps me when I come to the charts in the morning to see where that area is, and then I can draw these rectangles, these blue rectangles around that price, and so I can use that as kind of a guide throughout the day. Okay? So let's just go through some of these charts and talk about what we saw today. Now, there really weren't any setups today. There was one potential one where price started the New York session within that 10 pip range of the midnight price. That was the Euro CAD, which I'll show you in a minute. All the other pairs, at least the ones I follow, had already traded away from this level during the overnight in London session and were quite a bit of ways. Now, as I said yesterday, if that's the case, then your option is either not trade that pair or trade it back towards this line. So in other words, this is the Aussie dollar, for instance. So of course you can see the New York Open was right here. Okay, at this blue candle, right? See this right here? This is the New York Open. That was quite a bit of ways. Right, it was 57 pips away from this box. So obviously well outside the 10 pip limit, which I talked about yesterday about trading based on with it being inside of 10 pips and watching it either bounce off of or go through that level. Since it was well above here, then the only thing that you could do is either not trade it or trade it to the downside, because this area tends to attract price back to it during the day, or trade it as it comes back into one of these levels, trade it back to the upside. Now this is the second trade on the Aussie dollar I took today, and you can see right here that price, has come back down towards this level. It is drifting lower. It is late in the session. London is closed. I don't anticipate a lot more movement, so I may actually close this trade pretty soon. But we'll see what it does. It's since we're already 2 hours post London close, chances are nothing really is going to happen. But it may just tend to drift lower because there's really nothing to stop it. But again, the main point of this is that it was already well above this zone. It was well outside that 10 pip range, so my trading on this would either be to trade it back towards this zone or to let it come back towards the zone and then trade it long back to the upside. Okay, the reason why I decided to trade it down is because in the futures market, In the futures market, let's see here. 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. In the futures market, you can see we've been trending down. This is the 2-hour chart. And so I was really only looking for short positions in the futures market. And normally, although this is not always, but a lot of times what happens is if the futures market's going down, that usually means the dollar is strengthening. And so therefore the dollar crosses obviously will go down. So since I was only looking for shorts on here, which I did take 2 trades, which I'm out of now in this market, then I'm only, in that case, since I'm expecting further lower prices in the futures market, that means in Forex I'd expect the dollar to be strengthening and therefore dollar pairs like this Aussie dollar to be going down. So I decided to trade it to the downside back towards this zone. And you can see my take profit here is a little bit above it. And I don't know if we're going to get there again just because it's late in the session. But so there's that. So now let's go to the Euro CAD. And on Euro CAD, what we had was price started the day right here. Okay? Started the day right here. And that was about 8 pips from this box. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to watch the Euro CAD and I'm going to see whether it turns and breaks back through this level or if it turns and goes up. And in which case, if it turns and goes up, then fine. Then I'll either trade it back towards this zone or I just won't trade it at all. As it turns out, I did not trade it at all because even though it started out about 8 points away, 8 pips away from this box, it just continued to go up. It didn't trade through it to the downside, so therefore I wasn't looking for any short positions. I guess I could have traded this back into the zone because you can see what happened. Price rallied up, and then you can see it came right back into the zone. This definitely supported it. It started bouncing off of this, and then it broke through again. So I did not trade this pair, but basically the setup's wasn't there for me, so I didn't trade it. But this was the only pair that it was even close to being into this range today. And like I said, as it turns out, I didn't trade it. Okay. So let's just quickly look at some other pairs. Because you're going to find for the rest of these pairs, it's the same thing that I showed you on the Aussie dollar. Here's Aussie yen. Okay, we were 38 pips, so naturally we're not looking for a pass through this zone. We're already too far away. We had preceded it with strong bullish action, so I was expecting this to continue up. And we've been in kind of this corrective mode all day, so I never took any trade on this, so that's fine. Ultimately, I think this will go up. But you can see every time it tried to go up, we just kept making lower highs here. But I still think this is corrective, and eventually this will go higher. So there was no trade for me on Aussie yen, dollar yen. Okay, so for dollar yen, again, we started out right here. Okay, 62 pips away from the box, so nothing there. So on dollar yen, now this is a little bit counter to what I just told you about the futures market. At least we're at the level it's getting to now. So like I just said, normally what happens is if the dollar strengthens, then that futures market, the NASDAQ that I showed you before, would go down, which it did today. The dollar was strengthening, and you can see this is heading back towards this zone. Okay, now even if we get here today, it's not going to really affect the futures market because it's so late in the session. But you can see price had pulled away from this area, and so there was no trade here. Theoretically, I could have taken a trade back to the upside, back into this zone, which, as you can see, it's drawing price right back to it. I did not take this one. Again, I'm still back testing this, but I am watching these so I can get a little bit more of a feel for how these things normally go. And going forward, if I feel like there's a good chance these things are going to pull up back into these zones, then I'll take those trades. But I wasn't really looking to do that. Let's see. So EuroCAD I already showed you. Euro versus the USD. Okay. Again, here's where we opened, right here, too far away. So again, I played the move back, and I was in this trade. I just closed it back here at the close of this candle right here. So you didn't get to see that, but I am out of this now. But it's the same thing on this one. I decided to take the short, and I got in right here when it broke this structure on the 5-minute chart. Again, these are not a lot of pips, guys. This is only a 5-minute chart. So these are definitely scalp to day trades, but they're pretty reliable. And you can see what happened is price came all the way back down. Again, this area acted like a magnet and pulled price right back down, even though earlier in the session, at the beginning of New York and during the London session, price was trading up. And I also want to point this out. Look how well this so here was midnight right here, right? Here's New York midnight. Price came right into this zone, bounced here. This was, early on. This was pre-London. Came up, came back down, tested again. This was into the London session, I believe. Yeah, this was about an hour into the London session. Then the market took off. Okay, but you can see how well it held this area. It did break through this afternoon, but it's still hovering right around it, and it doesn't matter because I'm not in the trade now, anyways. But you can see how well this area held, right? So I did want to point that out. And I think the Aussie dollar was the same way. The Aussie dollar had one solid touch. Here was midnight on the Aussie dollar, and then it came down, tagged it, and then went up. So the euro, like I said, we just had those two touches. And, even on the pound USD, here was midnight, price came back, tagged right into it. It did break through for, about 10 minutes, a little throw over, liquidity clear out, and then it just kept going. All right, and then on the Canadian yen, again, opened up down here, too far away to trade anything through this zone. So price did continue down, but you can see what happened. It came right back and tagged right back into this zone and started heading down again. Now we're kind of in this corrective pattern late in the afternoon. So I don't really put a lot of weight into this. There's not really much going on. But you can see how well it respected this area. Again, here was that midnight candle right here, and you can see 1, 2, 3 times today, price came into this zone and reacted off of it. Okay? Euro yen, a little bit more messy, but essentially the same thing as the Canadian yen. Okay, here was the New York Open, too far away. During the overnight session, we had traded through it. Came back, came back here once, twice, and rejected off of it. Okay, now we're into the late day. Dollar Canadian, okay, again, New York right here. Midnight New York time right here in this little box. Here's our New York Open. Too far away to trade the base strategy, which is to trade it through this zone. But you can see prices now rally back, and right as we're talking right now, it's right back into this zone. I doubt I would take any position short right now, even if this starts to go down, just because it's so late in the day. But again, I'm just pointing out how much of a magnet this zone really is. Ultimately, I don't know where this is going to close for the day, but it might just still keep going up because the Canadian dollar is still kind of weak. So this might just keep trending up. And I would say if it does, this probably would be a kind of a relative area to look at price going up to. But you can see how well this area acts as a magnet. Okay? And last thing, the Euro Aussie, which I did not trade, again, opened well down here, 95 pips away, so certainly not doable in that respect. Unfortunately, this pair didn't do anything today. It would have been nice to see this one kind of make its way back up here and then go down. But it never did that, and so that's perfectly fine. I didn't trade it. I was looking to potentially take a long position on this back up on a breakout above here. I was looking at this as kind of corrective, and I said, if we get a solid break, I would trade this long back into this zone. But we just never got there. It looked like it was going to try right here, and then it just rejected. Now it's just doing nothing. So that'll be it for this one. So nothing on that. So anyways, the point, guys, is just, again, show how much the price respects these levels at certain times of the day. And to use that kind of as a guideline, and if you're going to take a counter trend trade, then, your profit target should be back towards this zone, in this case to the upside. But it would be the same thing if price was way up here to have it come back down. Okay? But again, if price opens New York time within about 10 pips of this zone, then I'm looking to probably trade it through the zone. And then in this case, let's say it was trading here, broke through, then I'd look for a retest and a move back up. But we didn't get that. The Euro Canadian was the only one that even fell inside that range, and that one really didn't do too much, okay, because it just ended up going up, okay. It never turned back to the downside, and then it came back down. This was the trade for this, was to trade it back into this zone, okay. There really was no really big opportunity to trade it up, because by the time New York opened, this move was halfway over, and to me it wasn't worth just a little bit of pips from, here to here on a 5-minute chart. But this would have been the trade. You can see how impulsive it was, back to the downside, right back into this zone. So I just wanted to make this video just as a follow-up from yesterday. Again, you can get a little bit more detail about what this is about on yesterday's video, though I covered most of it. Again, it just, for New York session traders, and this probably would work if you're a London trader, but I don't trade London. It's too early in the morning for me, so I like New York. But you probably can do this for London too. Just using that 12 o'clock midnight New York time, whatever time zone you're in, you have to adjust that. But for where I am, it's midnight New York time. To mark off that area on your chart. And I use a 5-minute chart, so I get a nice tight zone. I mark off that candle. That's this blue rectangle. And then I have these indicators are just marking those times out, just so when I come to the charts in the morning, especially for this line, I can easily identify that candle very, very quickly, and then just, draw my box across, instead of having to get my crosshair out in every pair and trying to figure out, which candle it is. This line draws it automatically for me. So, all right. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. I'm going to keep back testing this and playing around with it and seeing how well the reversal trades like this one, how often these actually play out. It does appear to be about 50-50, maybe 60-40, that they do play out. Sometimes, it might come down and not make it back here. It might come down to maybe a fib level, and then it turns and goes back up like it looked like it was going to do here. And then other times it will just come right back into this area. All right. So that's it, guys. Questions, comments, leave them down below. Smash that like button, please. Helps out with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're just finding the channel, please go ahead and smash the subscribe button down here in the lower corner of the screen somewhere, and ring that bell notification icon so you get notified when I record new content, which is, on average, once or twice a week. So, all right, guys. So do your own analysis, do your own back testing, practice good risk management. I have no idea what your situation is. Use a demo account, whatever you got to do. But decide for yourself. I only present this stuff for you guys to go and look at. I'm not telling you to take trades based on it. Go and look at it. See if that makes sense. See if it's in your trading style. Again, these are scalping to day trades. So if you're not that kind of trader, this isn't going to work for you anyways. So, all right. So guys, that's it. I will talk to you soon, and we'll keep you posted on how this is going. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks.